today's bonus episode of Big Business, I'm going to take you from start to finish through our hiring process at Fayt. And if you're a business owner, maybe you're just starting out, maybe you're well into your business journey already, it doesn't matter where you are, or maybe you're applying for jobs. You're going to want to take notes for this episode because I've done a couple of reels about this because we're hiring at the moment at Fayt. Well, it's finished now. We've found our applicant. And I have a lot to say. I also have a lot to say about some comments that I've received on social media because I posted a video where I lightly spoke through our hiring process, and I had a few comments, people going, red flags. And it's not fucking red flags at all, let me tell you. So let's just cut to the chase. This is how we hire at Fayt. And I will say, disclaimer, it depends on the role, okay? Obviously, we're going to do a hiring process a little differently if someone's applying to work in our warehouse versus if they're applying to work in our retail stores. You know, they might have a bit of a physical trial in the store to see how they go. But the hiring process that I'm going to take you through today is if we are hiring for someone to come and work in our head office. So we have just done this entire process over the last couple of weeks. Someone commented on my video that I posted talking about this, saying this seems like a really lengthy process. Do you get worried that you're going to lose or miss out on applicants if they get another job elsewhere during this process? And to that I say, no, not at all. This is a pretty quick process for us and you can make it happen in a matter of 2 weeks. We definitely don't fuck around when it comes to hiring, but we also want to take our time and do everything properly. I know I've said this a million times and I'm going to say it a million times again. Hiring is one of the most critical things that you can do in your business. And this is something that I didn't know when I started Fayt, and I feel like a lot of business owners don't know that when you first start out, because when your business is new and it's just you and maybe you're just hiring the first person to come and work with you and help you out, you're not thinking of the big picture. You know, you're not thinking of the future. You're just thinking for that moment now. But if I could do my time over, and I don't regret any of my time that I've had at Fayt, but if there was one thing that I wish that I could have learnt sooner, and I'd love to be that person to tell you now, and I don't have any regrets. I had to go through everything that I went through in the early days of Fayt to learn all of this. But hiring makes or breaks your business. And I shit you not when I say the wrong hire can fuck up your whole business. It can literally turn it to absolute shit. So when it comes to hiring, it's so important that you do take your time, that you have all the steps in place, and that you make the right decision at the end of the day. Because the last thing that you want to do is go to the lengths of hiring someone, which takes a lot of time, energy, effort. There's a lot of admin that goes into hiring, and for it to be the wrong person, and then you're stuck with that person. Trust me, you don't want to get into that scenario. So let me just walk you through top to end our hiring process, and you're going to want to take notes. So first of all, when we're hiring at Fayt, we advertise through Seek. I don't even want to know how much money I have spent on Seek over the years. It would be in the tens of thousands. It is not cheap to advertise on Seek. I think every time we put an ad up, the baseline is $300 and something. And what's crazy is I went into our billing history of Seek because you just pay for each ad as you go. I think you can also buy a bundle or whatever. But I went into it not that long ago and looked at our billing history, and it's amazing how more expensive it's gotten over the years because I could see every month of the year and I could scroll down to years ago and it used to be 100 and something, now it's 300 and something. And that's if you just want the most basic ad. If you want it to be a highlight or a standout, it's even more. But that's the way that we have always advertised our roles. It works for us and we get great applicants through Seek. We have tried alternatives like posting on LinkedIn and organically on our social media. LinkedIn doesn't really ever work. Maybe that's because we're based in Newcastle. So like all jobs, we write up our job description. Make sure you put everything that you could possibly need to put in that description in there. All their duties and responsibilities so that it's very clear from the get-go what kind of role they are applying for. And we outline the entire role, and the role that we've just recently hired for, I literally made the decision last week, was for an e-com coordinator, which is my dream role. If I wasn't doing my role that I'm doing at Fayt, I would love to be our e-com coordinator. It used to be my job back in the day, and I've just handed it on through the business and taught everyone. But this is our first time actually ever externally hiring for this role, because it's been a self-taught role up until this point. Dream role. If you're not sure on what you're doing in life, look up e-com coordinator roles and see if you would find it interesting. If you love all things like Canva, design, making a website look beautiful, photography, like it's just my dream fucking role. Like I would love to do it. So we put the job ad up, we wrote up the job description, and then you let the applicants come in. Now, in our job ads, one thing that we put is that a requirement of the application is a cover letter. Now, I've spoken about cover letters a lot on socials and here on the pod, but a cover letter for us is everything. Now, I said this in a video the other day, and someone on TikTok said, well, at Google, we think that a resume should say, oh, and by the way, I've learned that I say resume wrong. I've always said resume, but I think everyone says resume, but you're just going to have to deal with me saying resume. But someone said in my comments, a resume should do all the talking. Like cover letters are full of shit and we don't like them here at Google. And I'm like, first of all, don't compare my company to Google. That's $1 billion, like hundreds of billions of dollar company. But a cover letter for us is everything. And your workplace may be completely different, or you personally may disagree with me on that. You might think cover letters are a waste of time. But especially given the nature of our business and given the fact that it's a creative role that we're advertising for, an e-com coordinator is a really technical and creative role. We want people to show us their creativity and a little bit of personality when applying. It's not just like a I don't want to say like a basic job, but like we want to get to know our applicant because it's such a vital role in our company and we just want to see people beyond their resume. So cover letters are a massive one for us. We want people to apply. We want to see all their skills and their work experience on their resume, but we also want to get to know the applicant a little bit better. And we also want to see if they actually want the job, because so many people just bulk apply for jobs online, but they're not actually interested in them. So number one, if you're a business and you're wanting to hire, get people to give you a cover letter. And also, if you are applying for jobs, attach a cover letter every time, and I can guarantee you will stand out. And make each cover letter personal to the job that you're applying for if you really want it. If you're just looking for work and you don't really care, then by all means, you don't need to attach a cover letter. But for me, if I'm hiring for a really high-level creative role within our company and someone has written us a cover letter that says, hey, Fayt, my name is Sarah, and this is why I would love to do this role, and here's a bit about me, that person's going to stand out amongst everyone that hasn't included a cover letter. Again, I speak from my own experience, what I like. Not every business will like, but a cover letter means everything to us. So we put in our job ad, please, like you must attach a cover letter. Applicants without a cover letter will not be considered. So we have our job ad go up. We allow the applicants to roll in for however long that may be, and then we start going through every application. I had a lot of people say, like, do you use a program that goes through applicants? I don't know anything about that. We go through the applicants one by one, and in Seek, by the way, this is not an ad for Seek. Hey, if they want to sponsor the pod, I'm not going to say no though. We go through the applicants one by one, and we put them in suitable or not suitable on Seek. If someone hasn't included a cover letter, they're straight to not suitable, because if we've put it as a requirement to apply, you must write a personalised cover letter and they can't be bothered to do that, how are they going to be bothered to do the rest of the job? And that might sound harsh and people are commenting, red flags. It's not red flags. I'm just running my business thoroughly. And I feel like people that comment red flags like don't own a business the same as Fayt, obviously. Sorry. So we then go and shortlist a heap of applicants who have like standout resumes and cover letters, who have the experience, who have the skills, who, you know, tick all the boxes. And we were looking for someone for this role in particular that had a minimum of 2 years experience. So we shortlisted, I don't know how many applicants for this. Let's say maybe there was about 15 that we shortlisted. We're like, we are interested in getting to know these people a little bit better. So that's step number one. Step number two. We never used to do this, and I'll tell you why we brought it in. So step number two is we send out a questionnaire to those, let's say there's 15 people. We send out a really, really, really short questionnaire that will take them no more than 5 minutes to fill out. It might have 5 questions in it, and we just use it like we use a online form filler out or a builder to do that. And the website that we use is called Jot Form, but there's literally like a billion websites out there like that. You can even use like Google Forms. But basically we use Jot Form and we give them a series of really simple to answer questions. It might be, what is it that made you want to apply for this role and why do you think you'd be a great fit? There might be a personality question in there, like how would your friends describe you in 3 words? Another one that we always like to put at the bottom is tell us a fun fact or interesting story about yourself. There's just like 5 really easy to answer questions. And from this, holy crap, will you have your mind blown? So we never used to do this, and we would jump straight into a face-to-face interview. But by doing this questionnaire first, again, like it feels rude to be talking about people in this way, but it really does filter out the people that can't be bothered. So you're then not like wasting your time interviewing them face-to-face, because that's what I did so much of back in the day. So back in the day, I would advertise online, pick out my favorites, and then I would meet them in person. And you would have people coming in to interview that like definitely didn't have the skills or experience, or maybe they were fluffing on their resume, or they weren't a good fit. Like you'd be spending a whole day interviewing people that were just definite no's. And I know that sounds so nasty and cruel to say, but this is just the nature of business, is you're looking for the right candidate for the role. And so we brought in this online form because, number one, you will be surprised by how many people can't be bothered to fill it out. And again, if someone wants a role badly enough, they will take 5 minutes out of their day to fill out that online questionnaire that we've sent them. And they're super easy to answer questions. Like it is not technical. We're not asking them to go above and beyond. We're just asking them to write a couple of sentences about themselves, about the role. And you will get so much out of like that questionnaire. Like it's an absolute no-brainer for us when it comes to hiring, to get people to fill out the form. And especially like for a role like this, for example, our e-com coordinator role, you do a lot of writing, like writing our product descriptions online. So if you're looking at people's writing skills, you can then see like, can they write out a sentence properly? Can they map out a paragraph if they're going to write like 1 or 2 paragraphs in their answers? You can look at their written skills as well. It's also a great way to see if people use ChatGPT. You'd be surprised how many people use ChatGPT to fill out this questionnaire. And I'm all for like utilize AI and ChatGPT to help you do things. But like if people are just going to copy and paste a ChatGPT answer into those, like again, are they going to be efficient at doing their role if they can't even be bothered to answer some simple questions about why they've applied for the role? So we send out the questionnaire like really quickly, and then you'll get, let's say I send it out to 15, maybe only 10 will answer them. So then you've, again, like fished out is like the wrong word, but you know, there's 5 applicants that you don't need to bother interviewing because they couldn't be bothered to fill out the form. Therefore, they don't want the job that badly, which is fine. Like if people get the questionnaire sent to them from us and they're like, oh, I can't be bothered to fill that out, that's so fair enough. But it saves us, you know, wasting our time interviewing them when they're probably not overly keen on the role in the first place, which is so fine. So that's step 2, send out an online form. Step 3 for us is a virtual interview. Now, we started doing this when COVID happened. I feel like that was one of the good things to come out of COVID for us, because I used to just jump straight to the face-to-face meeting. And when you're doing a face-to-face meeting, like I never want to do like a quick 10-minute face-to-face interview. Again, depends on the role. But when we're meeting people in person, you want to be meeting really strong applicants and you want to spend some time with them. For example, I know this sounds crazy, but the in-person interviews that we've just done for our e-com coordinator role, we met 3 people and it was an hour and a half each, because you're really wanting to get to know these people as much as you can. So we then lock in, let's say out of the 15, 10 filled out their answers, and then from there you might then pick, let's say, I think we might have picked like 8 that we actually wanted to progress to the next round to have a Google meeting with us. Now, we never used to do this before COVID times, but when COVID happened and we couldn't like interview people face to face, that's when we started doing our Google Meets or like Zoom or whatever, but we've kept that. So we jump on a quick 10-minute, just really quick and easy intro interview. And again, it's just getting to know them a little better. It's asking some more technical questions so that we can get a better understanding of their experience. And then from there, let's say we interview 8 in a 10-minute Google meeting, then we choose who we're going to meet in real life. And when it gets to the point of meeting those people in real life, we know for sure one of them is going to be suitable for the role. You're not then like blind dating, interviewing 15 randoms, and you're not sure how many of them are super strong for the role and some maybe not so strong. Like you've gone through this process so that when it comes to meeting these people in person, you can spend some time with them and you know for sure that all of them have the skills for the role. They have the experience for the role. You know by this point that they really want the role, so that you're not wasting your time. Because back in the day, and again, like I don't regret the way that I have done anything at Fayt throughout the years, but you know, back in the day when I first started in those first couple of years, I would pick everyone out of Seek and then I would meet them all in person. And I never want to do like a quick 10-minute in-person interview. So then I would be spending, 20, 30 minutes with each person. This is my first time ever talking to them. It's my first time hearing what they have to say. And of course, you want it to be a positive experience, no matter what, like if they're an absolute yes or if they're a definite no. And then I would find myself spending all day interviewing people that weren't the right fit for the role because I'd just jumped the gun and gone straight from the online application straight into the in-person meeting. So just to put it in a nutshell, we advertise online and shortlist applications. From there, we then send out a quick jot form questionnaire. It can be so simple and so easy. I really want to stress. After that, we then do 10 to 15 minute Google meetings. And in those Google meetings, we get to know the applicant a little bit better. We don't go too in detail about who we are. Like we do a little bit of like who we are as a company, but we kind of save all those nitty gritty company specific details for the in-person interviews. On the Google Meet, it's getting to know them a little bit better, asking them about their experience, because it's one thing for them to write about it on their resume, but I love asking again when I'm in that Google Meet, can you recap us and walk us through your experience? So it's not just written down, you can hear them talking about their experience. And then from there, after the Google Meets, we jump into the in-person interviews. So we ended up interviewing 3 people in person, which is way better than meeting 15 people that you're not sure of. And then we picked our one applicant out of those 3. And one thing that I'm massive on, I know that job interviews can be super daunting and, nerves are high and everyone can be super anxious. One thing that we really pride ourselves on at Fayt is giving everyone an amazing experience when they're interviewing with us, even if they don't land the job. Because I know how disheartening it can be to really want something and not get it. So we always try to make our job interviews a really enjoyable experience. And I think the feedback that we have gotten from our applicants has always been great. We always try to make our interview process personable, down to earth, of course, asking all the right questions and getting to know people and their skills. But we always want people to, even if they interview with us and they don't get the role, I want them to be able to say, like, I interviewed with Fayt and it's such a bummer I didn't get the role, which I can imagine is like, I always feel terrible. Like, we've met 3 people and picked one. I always feel so terrible that 2 people are going to miss out. But I still want them to be able to say, like, even though I didn't get the role, like it was a great overall experience. And I know mapping this out like this can sound like a lot. And people were saying to me on my TikTok, this is too many steps or too many red flags. I'm just like, it really isn't, because the last thing that you want to do is rush your interviewing and hiring process. In saying that, we can achieve all of this within like 2 weeks if we're really efficient and people get back to us quickly. So it is a really quick process. Mind you, then you've got like a notice period. Like people might have to give their work anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks notice. So it does drag out a little bit. But I would rather have way more steps in place to ensure that we are getting the absolute right applicant, instead of jumping ship like I used to back when I started Fayt and, someone applies online, I meet them in real life and I go, you've got the job, without like really getting to know them and their experience. Because hiring is one of the most scary, I know I say it all the time, but hiring is one of the scariest things ever. And it doesn't matter if you're a small, tiny business or like you're a bigger business like Fayt. Bringing someone into a really established workplace is a massive risk because so many things can go wrong. There can be massive shifts in culture. Like, you just never know. And same when you're a really small business, like you can have someone come in and tear the place to shreds in the most wrong way ever. So I feel like we can never be too careful when it comes to hiring. And that's why I have like these 3/4 solid steps that we follow, and it's absolutely bulletproof. And I made a video about it, and I thought I want to have this pod here like permanently on my feed so people can come back to it. It works so well for us. It definitely might not work for every business. It might not work for every role. And I definitely didn't have this kind of structure in our interviewing and hiring process back in the early day because I was doing everything wrong, and that's so fine. I feel like you have to go through all of that to then get to the point of going, holy shit, I really need to be careful when hiring. And it's so scary because I almost feel like in a way as well, like hiring so many people over the years, it's kind of given me trust issues in a way. And I always have in the back of my mind, like, you've got to trust everyone 110% until proven otherwise. But I do always have like my antennas up, I don't know, that when people are interviewing and hiring and, you know, presenting themselves to you in hopes to get a job, like, we all are presenting the best version of ourselves when we are being interviewed. And sometimes that can not be what people are really like. And I've dealt with that firsthand of people, you know, schmoozing their way through the interview process, and then they get the job and then they're not who they said they were. And that is terrifying. That is a terrifying situation to be put in as a business owner and as a business as a whole. So this is why I think it's so important to have multiple touch points and multiple steps in your interview process. Have the jot form questionnaire online. Do a quick 10-minute Google meeting and then meet them in person and write everything down. Because, I don't know, if people are going to, I always give people the benefit of the doubt, but if people are going to lie or whatever throughout the whole process, if you've got everything written down, you can kind of be like, well, in the questionnaire, she said she has experience in this, but then in the Google meeting, what she said in the Google meeting didn't match her written experience. I feel like the mix of written, did I just say written experience? Sorry if I did. But having like a nice mix of written answers in the jot form and then your notes from the Google Meet, like, you can really cross-promote everything. And the thing that's great as well is when we got to our in-person interviews last week with the 3 applicants, before they came in, you know, we went back to their jot form. We went back to those first answers they gave us. And then you can use that as talking points. You can say, I noticed in your jot form you had written this. Can you tell us a little bit more about that? It just gives you so much to go off. And of course, to wrap things up, when you are going to hire that person for the role, always do a reference check. It depends what kind of role you're hiring for, but I definitely think it's worth doing. And when it comes to doing a reference check, I'd be sure to ask the reference questions that only someone in their position could answer. I feel like, again, I kind of have trust issues, but I always sometimes envision that people have gotten like their co-worker to pretend to be their manager. You know, can I put you down as my reference and say that you're my manager, even though you might just be my friend or my co-worker? So I would be specific with the questions that you ask the reference to ensure that they are the person who they say they are. And just have a think about it, and you can come up with questions that will for sure tell you if that person is who they say they are as a reference. And again, I don't want to scare anyone. I'm sure everyone's genuine 99.9% of the time when it comes to references, but you can just never be too safe when it comes to hiring. And another question that we love to ask a reference is, if given the opportunity, would you hire this person again? I feel like that's a good one. And I would always hope in the back of my mind that a reference is genuine and honest when it comes to giving feedback. And hey, if someone's asked you to be a reference, be honest when a new employer is calling you, because we take what they are saying as gospel. I never want to overshare too much here on the pod, but there's some references that I know for sure that we have called, and then I've had someone start working with us, and then I'm like, that reference was absolutely lying, or that reference was not who that person said they were. So be super strategic and careful when it comes to the questions that you're asking references. And even if you're not 100% sure, you could ask for a second reference so that you can have two different opinions. And my number one tip when hiring is, I could give you a million, but if your gut instinct is telling you something, it's always right. I can't stress this enough. If your gut is telling you something or something feels a little bit off, or if you're like, oh, I don't know, like the person said this, and if something's bothering you, I would ask more questions or not go ahead with the hire. When you go ahead with a hire, you want to be 110% sure that they are the right fit for your business, your company, your team, and everything in between. By the way, I love that this bonus episode has turned into the length of a main, but I feel like it was worth me talking in detail. I'm super excited that we have hired a new e-com coordinator at Fayt. And the reason that that we hired for this role is because our team member who is currently in the position is moving overseas. And this is the first time we've ever externally hired for this role, because once upon a time when I started Fayt, I taught myself how to do all the back-end stuff like the Shopify, the Canva, the EDMs, and then it's just been passed on to people in our business and we've kind of taught everyone. So this is our first time that we've ever externally hired for this role, and I'm so excited to be bringing someone with experience in. The applicant that we have selected has more experience than me when it comes to all things e-com, email marketing, and I'm so excited. And I said to her, you make me look like a dum-dum. She was laughing. I'm like, no, you absolutely do, but I'm here for it because we're just entering our new era, and I'm so excited to have someone coming in with so much experience and helping take our online and digital marketing to the next bloody level. So that's all for today's bonus episode of Big Business. I hope you've gotten something out of this, and I hope that you can implement some of my tips when it comes to hiring. It is so crucial. And I know when I shared my video talking about our hiring process, I had someone comment on TikTok and say that they've been in business for 10 years and they're going to be implementing 2 of my tips from this hiring process, because it's just so good to have a solid process in place. Because whilst it's all well and good to say, we need a new hire, let's get someone in, yeah, she seems nice and fun, you've got to do it thoroughly because it can make or break you. So even if you're 10 years into business, if you're just getting started out, if you're not even hiring right now and you might be in the future, be sure to come back to this episode, because I like to think that it's a foolproof base that we have, and you can take it and change it and do whatever you like. If you want to skip out on one of the steps, by all means go ahead, but this is what works for us, and it makes it thorough and smooth. And by the end, when we've met the applicants, we feel like we've ticked all the boxes, because you don't want to jump into hiring someone when you still feel like you don't know them well enough. I also mentioned in this episode that the interviews were an hour and a half, which I know sounds super long, but that entailed the first half of it being an actual interview, like 40-ish minutes of an actual interview with questions. We also do a massive intro to the company, a big chat about our company culture and staff perks, and we go through all that kind of stuff. And then because this is a hands-on creative role, the second element of it was getting our applicants to do some little physical tasks on a computer, because it's one thing for people to talk the talk, but can they walk the walk? So I don't know, you'll have to let me know in my Big Business Podcast DMs on Instagram if you'd like me to do an additional episode to this and kind of walk you through the structure of one of our in-person interviews, especially when they're for a role like this where we have like a verbal questionnaire than physical tasks. I absolutely can, but this is a bonus episode, so I better wrap it up here, and I'll be in your ears next week. Good luck if you're hiring.